Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Sunday's edition of the DC Daily. Today we're going to talk about my worst ever DC movie, and I'm sure there's certain movies on your list, but I think they would be wrong because some of those movies on your list would have at least attempted to be a great entertaining movie. Either the budget was ripped away from them, or something went wrong during production in creative differences with director and studio. I'm sure Superman 4: The Quest for Peace is on your list. It is not on mine because Christopher Reeve tried to make a great Superman movie. He co-wrote the story. He wanted to do something big and some social commentary on nuclear disarmament. But the budget was ripped away from him, and it was very sad. But if you look back at that movie, there's some great moments at the very least. You've got the moment when you got Nuclear Man's nuclear footprint in the cement. Back in 1987, that was some great special effects when Superman addresses the UN about nuclear disarmament. And, he tells them he's going to rid the world of nuclear weapons. I cry every time I see that scene. So there's still some good elements to that movie. So that is not my worst DC movie of all time. Green Lantern. There are many, many issues with Green Lantern, but they tried. They tried to make something epic. They just failed because CGI was a new technology. They were wrong to do CGI Green Lantern costumes. It didn't look good. But when you see the introduction and the narration to the opening of that movie, and we go to OOP, it looks fucking amazing. And that element of the film is so good again. That is not my worst DC movie of all time. Then you have Batman and Robin, which is nowhere near as good as Batman Forever, Batman Returns, and Batman 89. It has its issues, but at least the director tries to make something a bit campy, a bit entertaining, and a bit fun. He tries. So there's many, many DC movies that you can say are not very good movies, but they're not my worst DC movies of all time. Look at a film like Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Emancipation means emancipating yourself away from a man, not needing a man. The whole narrative of that film was men taking credit for women's ideas and hard work. It was a pathetic narrative, but at least that film tried. I like the bit when Harley goes into the police station with the beanbag gun or whatever it is, or the dye gun or whatever it is. It's a great sequence. That film sometimes tries to be a good film, and it tries to give its character something. Even though it's an SJW kind of run movie, that is not my worst movie in DC of all time. And the parallels between my favourite DC movie, Wonder Woman 2017, that's my favourite movie of all time. But my worst one is interesting because it's about the same character. Yes, my worst DC movie of all time is Wonder Woman 84. But why? It has many, many points of SJW commentary when the men are watching the aerobics girls and the old men in the mall, and they're watching them bend over. It is despicable. 1984 doesn't look like 1984. It looks like 80s cosplay. It's an embarrassing film. When I first saw Wonder Woman 2017, I celebrated Patty Jenkins. But I want you to do me a favour. Next time you poor people, I feel sorry for you, watch Wonder Woman 84. And I do watch it now and again. I hate watch it. I do. I think it's a terrible movie. I want you to compare the people who worked on Wonder Woman 2017, Zack Snyder's people, by the way, and the people who worked on Wonder Woman 1984. You'll see how many people she took away from the first movie. Think about this. Zack Snyder and Alan Heinberg developed some wonderful comic book characters, adapted them for the first Wonder Woman movie. It was amazing, and great actors in those supporting roles. There's nothing more thrilling to me than having Wonder Woman, a female, sitting there with Steve Trevor's team, friends, listening to them. The guy who used to be a marksman, who's lost his confidence, and Wonder Woman Diana is trying to be there for him. Is it the Italian guy, the guy with the accent, who's a bit of a Casanova? I loved him. And then obviously, I forgot her name now, but the lady who's Steve Trevor's secretary. Again, brilliant. They even did some brilliant special features with her on the Blu-ray. They were playing something special with her as well. Damn, I forgot her name. Loved her. So all these different brilliant characters, right? They were amazingly supporting characters in the first Wonder Woman film. Where were they? Where were they, Patty? You got rid of them. She set Wonder Woman 84 as far away from 2017, Wonder Woman 2017, as possible. And it's disgusting, everyone. She removed Zack Snyder's VFX team. The only thing she brought back was Zack Snyder's composer, who didn't compose the first movie, by the way, but, the composer for Wonder Woman 84, what's his bloody name? I'm forgetting names now, but it doesn't matter. He did Man of Steel, of course. He did Batman vs. Superman with Junkie XL. He trained Junkie XL. Hans Zimmer, I'm remembering now. It's Sunday, I'm hungover, it's so hot. If I look like I'm about to faint, please don't be concerned. It's just so warm out here in Cyprus. I hear it's very warm in the UK as well. So everyone good she removed, but especially Wonder Woman comic book writer Alan Heinberg, who wrote a brilliant screenplay, a brilliant screen story alongside Zack Snyder. She removed everything. She went away as far as possible from the first Wonder Woman. One of my favourite CBMs of all time, and definitely my favourite DC CBM of all time. Don't ask me to justify to you, why I think Wonder Woman 2017 is not only the best DC CBM, one of the best CBMs of all time, but leaps and bounds the best female-led CBM of all time. Don't ask me to justify to you why it's better than Captain Marvel. That would be obvious. Wonder Woman 84 lacks ability, nuance, and talent. This film is written by Patty Jenkins and Geoff Johns, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Geoff Johns was involved in the story of this movie, because Geoff Johns has written some brilliant graphic novels. He wrote many a brilliant episode of Smallville, and he's ripping it up with Stargirl, doing a really good job. I doubt that he had any kind of real involvement in Wonder Woman 84. No. Basically, this was Patty Jenkins' film. Now, it's interesting that they cancelled the release for 2019-2020, and in the end, this hit them between the balls, because they delayed the film for so long that they got trapped within the pandemic, and it was delayed so many times. I'm hearing from my sources the original version of that movie was terrible, but I saw another cut that was even worse than that. Now, when I saw the movie, there was actually elements that I kind of liked a little bit more than I liked from the cut we got, the final cut of Wonder Woman 1984. So I was a bit more glowing about it when I saw the test screening, but I was shocked when I saw what I saw. A terrible film. And her arrogance led her to disperse of Zack Snyder. She is not a Zack Snyder supporter. She pretended in DC Fandom of 2020, the first DC Fandom, that she was a Zack Snyder supporter. She wanted us, Zack Snyder fans, to support that movie. Now, she was very lucky that this movie was released day and date. She was complaining, but she released it day and date, and it wasn't released when there wasn't a pandemic, because this film would have crashed and burnt badly. Badly. Critics told us it was the right movie for the right time. This movie makes so many damn mistakes, it's unbelievable. You killed off Steve Trevor in the first one. That means you can't use him in the second one. I'm sorry. I love Chris Pine. He's amazing, but you shouldn't be doing that. And you don't do it like that. If you're going to do it, you don't do it like that. The whole Quantum Leap thing, her sleeping with someone without their permission, because, he's using somebody else's body. It's ridiculous. And if that was the other way around, and if this was about a woman, these fucking SJWs wouldn't be shutting the fuck up about it either. So, in every essence, this movie is bad. The villains are bad. Maxwell Lord is an iconic DC Comics character. Now, Pedro Pascal is probably one of the best things about the movie, probably the best, because he still plays a compelling character. It's just not Maxwell Lord. And ultimately, the character doesn't make much sense. But he was playing this kind of Donald Trump type of character because it was all the rage to kind of reference Donald Trump in movies back then. It still is today. Extreme left Hollywood is still obsessed with Donald Trump. I'm no Donald Trump fan. I don't need him referenced in my movies, in my DC movies. If I was running Warner Brothers, either then or now, and I saw that movie, she would have been sacked on the spot. I would have brought in Zack Snyder and I would have remade that movie immediately. And there was some passive aggression between Zack and Patty, not only on the set of Wonder Woman 2017, there was a bit of a civil war there, but she started talking about the no sword rule, the no shield, how Zack wanted, well, she didn't reference Zack, she didn't want severed heads. So Zack actually showed the picture of Wonder Woman standing with these, I think, Indians with these severed heads. He fought back in a very smart way. Because Zack isn't aggressive against people. He's very clever. He's a tactical genius, Zack. This is how he got the Snyder Cut released. And he armored us to help him do it. So he's a very, very clever man, a very good talker. And I'd take the severed heads Wonder Woman over what we got in 1984. It was an embarrassment. And as I say, there's many SJW moments to that film. The huge one is when Steve Trevor vanishes and she's able to fly, because basically what they're saying is she's not shackled by a man anymore. And if you didn't see that coming, if you didn't notice that within the film, I'm disappointed in you. This is how these people work today. Zack Snyder didn't choose Patty Jenkins. Geoff Johns did when he was Chief Creative Officer over at DC. That's why they were working together. And during the time when Snyder fans were saying Geoff Johns is toxic, he's doing this and that, as was Ray Fisher, Patty Jenkins was saying we got on from the first moment we met. Well, of course you fucking well did. He employed you. Now, Zack brought on a better director. Yes, you've guessed it. Her name escapes me right now. But she was a much better director and she wanted to do things Zack's way. Geoff Johns had her fired. When they spoke about creative differences with that original director, it had nothing to do with Zack Snyder and everything to do with Geoff Johns. There's nothing about this film that really works for me. At the end, it's a bit teary and emotional as she lectures the whole world to give up their wishes. And that's another thing from Patty Jenkins. This film is about greed and not cheating. This is from the most greediest, money-hungry, lustful, industry in the fucking world. They stitch each other up while cuddling each other and talking about compassion and kindness. These are the worst type of people. And Patty Jenkins, a woman who comes from this very industry, lectures you, the consumer, you and me, the consumer, about greed and not cheating. She's not lecturing Hollywood, she's lecturing us. Think about that for a minute. So this is an absolute embarrassment. And no, I don't blame Walter Hamada for this movie. This was taken out of Walter Hamada's hands, as was Birds of Prey. It was Toby Emmerich who decided that Patty should have total creative control, that Margot Robbie should have total creative control of Birds of Prey. That's why those two films went wrong. So in a lot of ways, the things that have gone wrong for Hamada are not even his fault. In a way, even with the elements with Ezra Miller, I'm sure if it was up to Walter, he would have had a new Flash. But they decided they wanted to continue the DCEU and reboot it at the same time. So they decided they had to use Ezra. Obviously, that is a problem. Now, if Walter Hamada is behind the decision to replace Superman with Supergirl, then at the end of the day, he's a hack. I'm sorry, he's a hack. I don't know who made those decisions. Again, that's a Warner Brothers decision, not a Walter Hamada decision, in my opinion. But there's nothing. When I spoke about those films earlier on this video, when I said Superman 4, Batman and Robin, Green Lantern, those films had the intention to be good. Unfortunately, they were unlucky. It didn't work out for them. They didn't have the intention of political point scoring. Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Prey do, but I at least give Birds of Prey some credit. At times, they do try and do something. The relationship between the young girl and Harley is very good. Some of the stuff Harley does in the movie is very good. They let the Birds of Prey down in places, which is a shame because this was basically a Margot Robbie and Harley Quinn vehicle. But I don't think Birds of Prey is as bad of a movie as Wonder Woman 84, and it's the very elements that are wrong about the DCEU. It's a terrible movie. If you want to defend it to me constructively, please do. But when you compare it to Wonder Woman 2017, and what a wonderful celebration of female superheroes, of Wonder Woman and everything she stands for, you don't take away Wonder Woman's sword and shield. Patty doesn't understand. She's obsessed with Linda Extreme Left Carter as this kind of paragon of virtue, of originality for Wonder Woman. She's not. All Linda Carter ever was, and I was a kid, and I know why I was watching it as a young adult, because she was the fucking ultimate superhero first trap, right? I was watching that thing to watch her bits wobble about. I'm sorry. Yeah, toxic masculinity, I admit it. As a young man, that's why I was watching her Wonder Woman. That's why all the men, how many women actually watched her Wonder Woman and looked up to her Wonder Woman? Like everyone looks up to Gal's Wonder Woman. Do you remember the nonsense that Gal didn't have a big enough chest and crap like that? That was from dumbass fucking people who don't get Wonder Woman, right? Because if that's what you're focusing on that the problem's with you, not with Gal. So Gal Gadot is a great Wonder Woman, but the problem is Gal started doing this, me and Patty are, pals for life, we're going to do all these projects together. Since Wonder Woman 84, Patty Jenkins has nearly been taken off every project she was given because of Wonder Woman 17. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Wonder Woman 2017 is a great movie because of Zack Snyder and Alan Heinberg's script and story. It's as simple as that. You can tell in places Wonder Woman 2017 is directed by Zack Snyder. No Man's Land is one of the best sequences in CBM fucking history. As we all talk about and parody Thor Love and Thunder for its shit CGI and cinematography, the overrated Taika Waititi has finally crashed and burned and exposed himself like I always knew that he would. No Man's Land is one of the best sequences in comic book movie history, and no way was that directed by Patty Jenkins. I could have accepted it. I did accept that it was her at the beginning, before I saw Wonder Woman 84. But when you see the terrible CGI, the very little action, and the action you do get in the movie is fucking terrible. It's a parody, everyone. And so is this movie. I'd love to know from you what's your worst DC movie of all time in the comments, and if I'm not too busy, I'll get back to you. This has been the DC Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives, please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection, and I will see you again for Monday's edition of the DC Daily. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.